I'm a student of the first ciclo superior de guía y asistencia turística. I would like to tell you about some things that we did in our year. The first one will be the interview that the students did to our as language assistant, which was Mia Nelson. She's from Denver, from Colorado, and she will be telling us about her time here, her experience. Then the second one is the interview to our English teacher, which did an exchange program called Pilar. She went to Canada. She had an awesome time in there, and she will be telling about that too. The third report is the trip that some students from marketing made to Madrid to watch the program in Piñeiro. Marcos Beceiro will be telling us about the trip, asking some questions from the students too. Finally, and the last report is from the second year of my course. They did las primeras jornadas del turismo in here in this school. They arranged everything. They did the work all by themselves and will tell their experience too. And that's all. I hope you enjoy it.
Which city do you like best in Galicia?
I like this city the best in Galicia because I live here, so I feel like I know it the most. But I've visited several other ones, but this is my favorite.
What traditional Galician food do you prefer?
I don't know if it's very traditional, but my favorites are patatas alioli from my favorite restaurant, O Pincho, in the center, and chipurrones a la plancha. I really like those, but I'm not sure if they're traditional. I've tried pulpo twice, and the first time they gave it to me, it was super hard because I got the tourist tax, and the second time I went with the Spanish family, and it was much better. But I've eaten the other stuff a lot more.
What did you learn about your stay in Galicia? Did you have any kind of cultural shock?
I think I'm lucky in that I've lived in other countries before. I lived in Argentina and Italy before I came here, and I also went to college very far away from my home. So I guess the culture shock was probably less than other people who are doing my program, but I will say that I thought I was pretty okay at Spanish before I came because I lived in Argentina before, and here I definitely had a difficult time adjusting to how brusque the Spanish can be, especially when you're ordering stuff, and yeah, culture shock, probably not as much. There's definitely not as much variety of food as I'm used to, and it's hard in general to not have a car, but mostly the culture shocks were in a good way, living in a walkable city, being able to try a bunch of different foods, being able to speak in different languages, being able to learn a little bit of Galician, those were all really good. So positive culture shocks.
What activities do you like to do in Galicia?
I'm a huge walker. I really like walking all around the place, and we're in a very privileged location in that we're the start of one of El Camino de Santiago, like one of the different routes. So I go on lots of walks. And this weekend I'm about to go on a long walk from Santiago to Fistera, which is the end of the Camino de Santiago, because I won't have time to do it at the end of the course.
Would you like to come back to Ferrol? Be honest, please.
That's from Fatima, and yes, I would, because I would like to see all my students and how they're doing. This time with a car.
Did you visit more places in Spain apart from Galicia?
I did. I was able to go to Pamplona, Valencia, Madrid, Barcelona, Granada, Sevilla, and lots of other cities in Galicia. I really wanted to go to Asturias and Santander, but we're not very well connected here, so I'd have to go on a train that connects through Madrid, and that was not in the cards for me.
Hello Mia, do you see Galicia different from what you imagine, considering the stereotype of Spain abroad?
I don't think I really had an idea of Galicia or Spain very much before I came. In the US, when you study Spanish, it's mostly focused on Latin American countries, but I've always wanted to do El Camino de Santiago since I was like in 7th grade, so I would say that what I thought of Galicia has been pretty accurate, and then I thought it was going to be like a beautiful green nature place, and besides that I didn't really think very much about it, which I guess is lucky in some ways because I got to make my own first impression.
Would you live here permanently?
I would love to live here permanently. It's definitely difficult because I'm not a citizen of the European Union, but I really enjoyed my time here. I think the quality of life is amazing.
What impressed you the most about Spain? Why?
Oh, in general, the most impressive thing in Spain, I think I love how family-oriented people are here and how social the culture is. I think it's really wonderful to see people of all ages walking the street, from like very little kids out until like 10 p.m. and old ladies walking arm in arm like 5 times a day. So the social life is really incredible, admirable, and something that I would like to weave into the design of my own life, and I would like to see in more places.
Tell me something about your job here.
My job here is, I'm very lucky because I work with adults, so you can have conversations with them, and they can be your friends, and they can be people that you can relate to. I think working with kids would have also been super fun, but working with adults is tip-top in my mind. And my favorite lessons are the ones where people feel excited to be themselves and be creative, and I like especially when they dance. My favorite lesson probably was when we did the Thriller dance to Michael Jackson's Thriller during Halloween.
How do you think this experience is going to help you in the future?
I think this experience will help me in the future because it reaffirmed my desire to be a teacher. It was really wonderful coming in here and knowing that, oh yes, I made the right choice. I really, really do want to be a teacher. And it's helping me in that I'm probably better at Spanish now, and I'm definitely better at Galician than I was before, even though I only know 7 words. And yes, I have a lot of experience now, like planning my own lessons, interacting with people who have vastly different levels of English in the classroom, because sometimes you can have someone who's never studied English a day in their life, along with someone who is basically a native speaker in the same class. And it's really interesting to figure out how to incorporate everything I learned about, high ceilings and low floors, or the idea that anyone can incorporate themselves into any given lesson. So I learned a lot, and I think I'm much better prepared for my aspirational future goal of becoming a professor. It's pretty rare to have your first job be exactly what you wanted to do, so I'm extremely lucky.
Hello, Mia. Did you like the landscapes you say here in Galicia?
Yes. I'm from Colorado, in the middle of the U.S., Middle West, and it's a lot drier there than here, and I'm constantly surprised by how beautiful and green it is. And I will say that once you live by the ocean, it's almost impossible to imagine living anywhere else. So yes, very impressed by the landscapes.
What is your favorite food in Canada and drink?
I don't have a favorite food or a favorite drink. I tried a little bit of everything. Obviously, we are in Canada, is in North America. Burgers are quite good, fine. They've got something called, which is quite traditional, I think, poutine, chicken with chips and sauce and cheese. And as I don't like cheese, I didn't try. Everybody tried, but I didn't because of the cheese. I liked maple syrup biscuits. They're really, really good. And as regards drinks, I tried different kinds of beers and some wines. They've got beers with flavors, and I had one with cinnamon, and it was really, really, really good. It was like a cocktail in a beer or something like that. I'm not an expert on beers or wine. I tried different things. Some of them I liked them, some others I didn't, and that's it.
What was the most striking aspect in Canada for you?
The most striking aspect, I can say nature, because it is awesome, but also Canadian society. The people, very welcoming, very grateful, very nice, very gentle, always willing to help you. And the school one of the schools where I attended lessons was out of high school, and the students, most of the students doing English as a second language were immigrants and refugees. What I learned from that experience is that everybody there in Canada, no matter where they come from, they've got a place. All of us have got a place there, right? We can go and study and try and get a job. They are really, really friendly in that sense. And everybody is accepted, so you may find people from all over the world in there. So that's it.
What was your favorite place or landmark in Canada?
Cities are really nice, and all of them have got something that makes them special. But what I really liked was related to nature, the Niagara Falls, and also the Thousand Islands. That was those two places connected. I mean, you were in nature when you were there. They were really, really amazing and breathtaking. I remember being there, listening to the water falling and just being quiet, listening and nothing else, and also enjoying. I did a helicopter ride to see the Thousand Islands, and it was awesome as well. So yeah, those two places I would like to come back one day.
Which is your favorite memory of Canada?
My favorite memory has to do with people. The friends I made, teachers I went there with, my host family. After 2 days being there, Charlene, my house lady, told me when she was taking me on our way to school that I was together with Felix, a German student who was in there in Canada as well for a month. That we were her family, part of her family, and she really made me feel at home. And also, I met a girl called Takari. She's from Afghanistan. I met her outside school waiting for the bus. We started talking, and she told me about her history. She was forced to leave Afghanistan when the American military troops went back to the States because she couldn't live under the Taliban regime. She told me that she likes writing, and she had written a short story, and she asked me if I could read it for her. I said yes, of course. She sent me the story by email, and after reading the story that night, we met the day after and we talked about that. And it was the story, a very short story, but it was her experience when living the country, when living in Afghanistan, having to spend a few days in refugee camps. So it made me think how lucky we are living in a place where there are no violent conflicts. And also that even though she is going through a very hard and difficult situation, her attitude towards life is positive and always with a smile on her face, and so I admire that girl quite a lot.
What did you like least in Canada?
Public transportation. It was a nightmare for me. I mean, I've lived in Madrid for 8 years, and I used the train, metro, and the underground, the train, the underground, the bus all the time. So I'm used to that, and Madrid is a capital city, the same as Ottawa. But there are only buses, there's only one train line, the buses change the routes according to the different times. So it was, as I've told you before, every day going back home, it was an adventure. Let's see what happens to me today. That's what I used to say. They should improve their public transportation.
What place did you enjoy the most in Canada?
As I said before, the Niagara Falls and the Thousand Islands, those two natural spaces, natural areas. They were my favorite ones. Yeah, the ones I enjoyed the most.
What do you find very weird in Canada in compared to Spain?
Well, I don't know if I could call that something weird, but yeah, maybe, yeah. I remember that, well, public transportation is quite bad in Ottawa. and I always made mistakes on the bus stop. I had to get off to go back home at night. So I remember one afternoon, it was dark, and I got off the bus in the wrong bus stop. So I took my mobile and using Google Maps, I tried to get to my house, but the worst of lucks, my mobile died. I ran out of battery. I was close, but I was quite disorientated, so I had to knock on one house, and I told a girl who looked at me in a very suspicious way, by the way, asking her if she could give me the directions to get to my house. She told me, you have to follow that road, and after walking for 5 minutes, you'll be there. I looked at my watch, I said 5 minutes walking, but I was lost, and in fact I think I walked past the same puddle 3 times, so I decided to knock on another door again, and then a very nice boy and a very gentle old man helped me, and the boy accompanied me, came with me to my house, right? So that was a little of an adventure for that day, and I don't know whether we can consider that weird, but at least funny.
How was the Pilar program about? What was your experience?
The PLA is a program for teachers to improve their communicative and linguistic competence in foreign languages. So the program has got like 2 modalities or itineraries. With one of those itineraries, teachers can go to do a course in summer for a couple of weeks to Portugal, France, Germany, or the United Kingdom. And the second, within this modality, some teachers can go for 3 weeks to Canada as well. And the other modality or the other itinerary is the language immersion, which is about going for 4 weeks to Canada to live with a family and attend lessons to see the way, to observe teachers working there, what it is known as shadow teaching. That's the itinerary I applied for, so I went to Canada for 4 weeks, I went to Ottawa, and I was applied to different schools. Adult high school, where I attended lessons of English as a second language, environmental studies, history of Canadian families, and also Aboriginal literature. And I also had the chance to go to a different school where students study programs equivalent to our programs of Formación Profesional Básica, and I observed the way they work in different programs in welding, in green agriculture, and also in construction. And it was quite enriching for me, because you can not only see the way they work, activities, strategies, methodologies, but also the way schools are organized there in different aspects, such as timetables, subjects, etc. But it was a really enriching experience, personally speaking and also professionally speaking.
During our thrilling 2-day trip to Madrid, we stayed in San Sebastián de los Reyes. On the first day, we divided ourselves into 2 groups. One arrives at the building where the program Zapeando and Sonsoles are recorded. While the first group landed there, the second group, including myself, went to our shared rooms to drop our stuff and prepare them for our fellow group members. Afterward, we separated in 2 groups to explore different areas of Madrid. My group decided to have lunch at Subway and then visited the lively Gran Via area, where we visited stores like Nut Project, FNAC and Bershka. Later, we met up with the people in the other group at a bar named to set of Hormiguero, to be part of the audience and enjoy the show featuring Chicote as a guest. After the show, we return to the hotel and meet with our classmates from the first group. The next day, after a delicious breakfast in the hotel, we visit the Mediaset studio. There, we have the opportunity to explore different parts of the sets, production, and sound used for the television and radio. Later, some of my fellow travelers and I went out to have lunch together. After the meal, we headed to the hotel entrance where a bus was waiting to take us back home. During the return journey, interesting conversation emerged, making the trip enjoyable and entertaining. In the end, we arrived back in the city center at night, said our goodbye, and everybody went home.
Le 1er avril 2023, le département de tourisme du CIFP Rodolfo Ucha a organisé le premier journée avec des slogans atrévés à l'espérer.
Cada professionnel du secteur nous ont parlé de leurs respectives métiers et ils nous ont impliqué une application pratique de leur travail.
Isabelle Robles Guide nous a montré les trucs pour travailler avec des publics différents et dans toutes les circonstances.
Aurora Riesco, ancienne élève du lycée, guide et consultante, nous a parlé des possibilités de tourisme, de la randonnée et de la conservation de l'environnement dans la contrée de Ares.
Et finalement, Véronique Carrero, organisatrice d'événements de la Fondation, et sa collaboratrice Sarah Monsalvo, ancienne élève du lycée, nous ont expliqué tous les développements d'un événement depuis la conception jusqu'à bilan, en passant par la mise en scène du projet.
Les élèves de tourisme du CIFP Rodolfo ont assisté comme invités régionnaires ainsi que les élèves de première année de notre lycée.
Les élèves de deuxième année ont été les responsables de toute l'organisation des journées sous la supervision des professeurs.